Hello, my name is Glenn Dyer, and you are watching a Dyer-Situation. Today I'm seeing Kong Skull Island. It's not a remake of King Kong, it's just a movie involving King Kong and Skull Island. A bunch of military guys go there and encounter King Kong. Wow. Be honest, I'm actually impressed. It's not a remake. It's just a different story involving King Kong. Like, that's weird. Why is that weird all of a sudden? I am genuinely actually slightly excited for it, believe it or not. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing this movie. So, just to give you a thing, before 2 days ago, the only King Kong movie I had seen was the Peter Jackson remake, and at the time I thought, it's okay. I was really young, so I was just like, yeah, this is pretty cool. But I wasn't too enthused about it. At that time, I wasn't a big fan of Lord of the Rings, so I wasn't into Peter Jackson's work or anything. And, I was just like, yeah, it's pretty cool. When I rewatched it a while later, I was like, this is a lot longer than I remembered it being. And at that point, I was a fan of Lord of the Rings, and I was just like, this is good. This is good. This is good. But I decided the Dyer-Situation guidelines, the unwritten ones in my head that I can change at a whim, only require me to watch movies leading up to this if the movie happens to be a sequel, and I feel like it. So, I technically was in no obligation to watch the original 1933 King Kong, but just because whatever opportunity am I going to have to do that, I decided to seek it out. And, you know what? Peter Jackson clearly, he was really inspired by that movie. He loved the product. I mean, he recreated a deleted scene from that movie, using all the old tech and stuff. Like, he clearly has a passion for that film and really, really likes it, and it inspires him and stuff. But, after watching the original, I'm not entirely sure he gets it. Like, I'd heard all this other, like, outside stuff that's like, oh yeah, there's, like, the symbol of man's hubris, and, there's stuff about, like all this, like, high cultural things associated with it. And then you watch the movie, and you realize, this is just a popcorn flick. This is an action movie. You go there to see a giant ape wreaking havoc. That's what the movie is. Like, there is some subtext to that, don't get me wrong, but, like, in reality, I'm sure, like, most people who went and saw that movie were like, wow, that was cool, that giant ape totally fucked up that city. They probably didn't say it exactly like that, but, it was just an action film. And when you compare it to the Peter Jackson film, like, he clearly cares about it, but damn, it does not seem to understand that point. They ramp up the romance, or like the character interaction, at least between King Kong and the lady. They lampshade all the scenes from that movie by having them, like, they're still like a filmmaker expedition, but they're filming the scenes and kind of, wait, how do I explain that? They filmed some of the scenes from the original movie as if they're kind of making fun of, like, some of the tones from that time and stuff. Like, we've changed so much. Also, the build-up to Skull Island is so much heavier and all that. Like, we're really building up to this amazing thing that's going to happen and stuff. Whereas, like, the original movie is just like, well, they build it up a little. They build it up to a good point, but in the end, this is a movie about a giant fucking gorilla. There's no need to overthink it to that extent. It's meant to be fun and exciting. Like, where did all this drama come from? So that's why I still don't think it's a bad movie by any extent, but just, it's kind of weird how 70 years can take something that like, today would have no more artistic value than, say, oh, Pacific Rim, for instance. And then just, like, through the progression of time, it would somehow grab a mystique to it and inspire young filmmakers to do crazy, outlandish things and stuff. It's odd. But anyway, getting back to this movie, I kind of like that it's just, at least from the way it's advertised, it seems like it's just going back to those roots. It is an action film. It's a giant ape versus the military. Awesome! That's all King Kong needs to be. So if they go with that, if they just go with that, then I am super excited. However, I think this is from the people who produced the Godzilla remake a few years back, which I was not a fan of, which is worrying. I think it was just the producers, though, not the director. I could be wrong, but that's, if it's a director, I'm a little more worried. But if it's just a producer, then they just threw money at it, so there's nothing too worrying about that. I just hope they don't make the same mistakes of the Godzilla film. I think they won't, just because this isn't a remake, so they can just kind of get right into the action stuff instead of just... boy. I did not like that Godzilla movie. Go watch the original review in order to get my opinion on that. But essentially, I just thought it was so dull, for the most part. But anyway, aside for this movie, we're gonna see some people getting killed by a giant gorilla, and it's gonna be so fun. Let's get to it. And I'm back. I liked it. Yeah, I liked it. We'll say I liked it. Here's the thing, though. There is a lot of great individual elements in this. The creativity in this movie's design is through the fucking roof. Like, some of the creature designs we see this spider thing that has, John Carpenter's The Thing entrails that come out and eat people. There's these bad guy monsters that, that are basically a cross between a snake, a lizard, a crocodile, and a bird skeleton. I don't mean a bird. I mean a bird skeleton. Like, you can see that just the creativity is overflowing. Like, it looks so cool, and there's so many cool shots. Like, there's a scene where King Kong is is revealed by these explosions behind him and stuff, and like in the background it's like, oh shit, that looks so cool. And there's some really cool fight scenes, especially at the end. There's this awesome action scene with Khan fighting this big monster and stuff. It is such glorious movie making, you know, and I love it. But despite all that, despite all these great things, despite all these, hilariously awesome attributes, like the fact that Skull Island is surrounded by a continuous storm, like a continuous lightning storm, it's the most ridiculous thing ever, and it's so awesome. The fact that they're fighting against, this is people from the Vietnam War, so it's tying into those kinds of themes and stuff, and it's so awesome, but it just never comes together for me. At no point does it all just snap together, and I'm like, yeah, I'm watching a great film. At all times, I felt when it wasn't in the middle of an action scene, I felt honestly a little bored. And I shouldn't. The movie looks great. The movie has a good cast, but why is it like that? Why couldn't it click for me? Why couldn't I just sit back and enjoy it? Honestly, the only thing I can even remotely point at is this really could have used some better lead characters. It had great lead actors. Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson are our leads, but they to me, it's kind of like the same misstep they had in Godzilla, where there's some great action scenes, although in this movie it's far better distributed than in Godzilla. But, like, the main character we follow is so bland that it's hard to get enthused about anything. Whereas, like, this movie has great side characters, though. I mean, John C. Reilly plays as, like, this guy who landed there in World War II, and he befriends the natives, and he's awesome. I love it. He carries a samurai sword. It's so cool. Samuel L. Jackson is playing this Captain Ahab type guy who just wants revenge. Who else? John Goodman is awesome as always. But, like, our two lead characters who we're supposed to emphasize the most with, I don't get them. I don't understand what their motivation is. I don't understand why I should like them so much. Honestly, I think it just brings the whole movie down from there. Which is a real shame, because the movie looks so cool, and there's so many cool things about it. Even some of the stupider stuff, like the fact that King Kong looks and moves nothing like a gorilla. Like, he stands completely upright, like straight-backed and everything. He looks more like a giant Sasquatch than a giant gorilla. Even that, I don't mind. It looks awesome. You know, you're like complaining Godzilla doesn't move like a giant dinosaur. Like, King Kong moves like King Kong. Doesn't move like a gorilla. You know? And it's frustrating. It's really frustrating. In all of our respects, this is a great movie. This is a great action flick. But I just found it really hard to keep invested throughout the whole thing. I can't think it's just that, though. I mean, just like weak leads? Is that really all it takes to bring down a movie this cool? I don't know. Maybe there's something else that I just wasn't registering, but, like, yeah, it never fully snapped with me. I enjoyed many different moments, and I highly recommend this movie as a great action film. But just as a great movie, I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. Maybe it'll take a critic better than me to point out why, but yeah, essentially, I've seen better. Like, I hate to call back to Pacific Rim again, but, like, with that movie, a lot of people seem to forget is that it's not the movie isn't necessarily just about, like, fighting giant monsters. Like, it's there and it's awesome, but it revolves around our two leads and their relationship with each other. And it's an interesting, not fully original, but an interesting relationship, and we get to know them and understand their thoughts and their feelings, and that helps us root for them a lot more. Whereas with these guys, with Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson's character, we get that they're good guys, but there's not much of a reason for us to care. Like, Brie Larson is playing this journalist. She takes photographs for the war. I would have thought that would lead somewhere. Like, she takes photographs of a whole bunch of stuff on the island. That honestly doesn't go anywhere. I can only think that maybe that's, like, for a sequel or something, like somebody finds the pictures or something, because they never bring that up. She takes pictures throughout the whole dang movie. And Tom Hiddleston, he's this mercenary, sort of. He's like an ex-British soldier that they pay to scout? I honestly don't even know why he's there, but they paid a lot of money to get him there. Both the movie executives and the people, the scientists in the movie, they pay a lot for him to get there. I just don't get it. It's hard because our leads just aren't people who would be that invested in what's going on. I don't know. I'll say I would have preferred if maybe John Goodman was one of the leads. If they maybe fleshed out his character a little more, because he basically organizes the trip. He would be the film director equivalent from the original movie. You know, this crazy eccentric guy with weird ideas. Like, with him, like, he was attacked by a giant monster when he was a kid, and now he believes that all the monsters are gonna start killing everybody because I don't know, he's crazy, and so he wants to stop them, right? I don't know. You could have followed him. You could have had him be our main character. Like, he goes there and, yeah, it confirms his beliefs because King Kong attacks them and stuff after they drop bombs on him. And, you know, you could have him learn from that. You could have, like, Samuel L. Jackson turn into the Captain Ahab type, and maybe John Goodman starts to learn something about what's going on here, and, like, starts to emphasize with Kong a little more through the events of the movie. And then, well, we've seen his whole arc here, haven't we? We like him a lot more now. Like, honestly, that sounds like a far more interesting movie than what we got. Like, keep everything else, keep all the other action scenes and side plots and everything, and just switch the focus of, like, the human characters a little, and dang it, you'd have a 9 out of 10 from me. But yeah, as is, it's a fine action film. I highly recommend it if you want to see King Kong doing some cool stuff. But I don't think this is a movie I'd ever want to see again. This isn't I don't know. I really don't think there's that much of a reason to get super invested in the movie itself. It's kind of a shame, but so until next time, I'm Glenn Dyer, and you have been watching A Dire Situation.